Kia ora, Year 9. This video is made for either for Vishwaa or whoever just left me a post on my extended abstract video saying please can we have some more questions like this one. So here's another one about graphs and context to give you even more practice. And this one is about Tama and Noah, who both offer guitar lessons. This is inspired by a true story. They go to their students' houses to teach them, and they're really only interested in teaching kids who want lessons that take hours and hours. So Tama has passed level 3 music and he thinks he's really good. He charges a $30 travel fee and then he charges $28 per hour. Noah charges $25 for travel and only $22 per hour because he's just in year 11, he's just starting to pick up some paid work and he reckons people won't pay him more than that. So you can hopefully already see what we're going to have to do. We've got to draw the graphs for these, and to do that we're going to write the equation for each one. So let's look at the questions first. We're going to write the equation for their earnings, and I should have said draw the graphs. Then we're going to think about whether Tama is always going to be more expensive than Noah. We're going to do that first by looking at the equations and seeing what we can see in there. Then we want to figure out what Noah charges for a 5-hour lesson, and we want to see how long Tama would have to teach to earn that amount. And then there's a student called David who has a 3-hour lesson, and we want to estimate from the graph what the difference will be, and then use algebra to work out exactly what the difference will be. And I'll come back to question 7 in a minute. Okay, so the structure of the problem was that Tama charges a $30 fee. So for Tama, his earnings, or pay, is going to be 28 per hour, so 28T plus 30. Alright, or you could use different letters. You could use E is equal to 28H plus 30. It really doesn't matter that much. I'm going to stick with P and T because that's what we did in the last video. Okay, so that's Tama, and now Noah's equation will be P is equal to 22T, $22 per hour, and $25 for travel. Okay, so we've written the two equations. Now let's look at them before we draw those graphs. Is Tama's charge always going to be higher than Noah's, or is it the same somewhere? Well, Noah has a fixed fee of 25, which is lower than this one. So that means that on the graph, Noah's going to be starting lower down than Tama. So Noah's going to be this low blue dot here. And now look at the gradients. Noah's gradient is only 22, but Tama's is 28. So that means that Noah's equation is going to be increasing more slowly than Tama's equation. We're going to do that nicely on the next page, but that's the big idea. Because we have to have a positive number of hours, there's nowhere where those earnings numbers are going to be the same. Those two lines would cross if I were working with X and Y, but they'd cross somewhere back here, right? They'd cross where I had a negative T value. So that's not going to happen in real life. So now we're going to go and we're going to draw those graphs. And you'll see that it's quite hard with numbers like this always to get them exactly right. And that's one of the reasons we want to be able to use the algebra. So first we'll do Tama's graph, 28T plus 30. So let's see, well we can start easily enough at 30. We have to try and estimate where that goes. So we'll put a dot there. It looks like it's about halfway between 20 and 40. And then per hour, he's earning $28. So we want to find a nice round number to pop on there. If he has 10 hours, it's going to be 30 plus 28 times 10. So that would give me $330. But you can see that that doesn't fit on my graph, so that's not very good. Let's try a different number to give me a nice exact value. Let's do 5 hours. So 30 plus 28 times 5 will be $170. So here's 5, and we can do pretty close to exactly halfway. All right, so there are my two lines there. Now we're going to take our ruler and we're going to join those up. So that's going to be Tama's earnings, and we should just, I think that's Tama, not Noah. Yeah, that's the expensive one. So Tama, who's in year 13, has got a higher gradient and a higher hourly rate. Let's look at Noah's one now. Okay, so Noah charges $25 for travel and only $22 per hour. So the 22 we can put on here in a different colour. Let's put him on there. There's 22. And $25 per hour. Well, let's pick a 10-hour lesson. So 25 times 10, that would give us 272. Hard to get that dead right, but we'll try it. Now, I think that's not right. I think it's meant to be $25 for his charge. It is, right? It's $25 for his travel fee. So that equation's incorrect. And so is that point there. It should be a tiny bit higher up. One of the reasons I've done this is so that you can see how tricky it is to try and draw this exactly right. It's pretty hard to see a difference between 22 and 25. But it's going to make a difference to how much he earns. So for 10 hours, it'll be 25 plus 22 times 10. So 220 plus 25 is 245. So let's go here out to 10 and now put his number on. So it's going to be about like that. Or another good round number-ish, kind of, would be 5 hours. So that's going to be 25 plus 110, which is 135. So at 5 hours, you can see that he's quite a lot lower than Tama. We're going to take the ruler and we're going to join up those dots there. Look, it works pretty well. Okay, so joining those up, there we go. We can see Noah's equation here. We'll take the ruler off. So that's Noah's earnings here. I'm going to delete all of that. Let's get rid of all of this and go back and see what we've got to do now. But all it's going to be from here is using those graphs. Okay. Okay, guys, so now you can see from the graph as well as from the algebra the answer to number 2, that Tama's charge is always going to be higher than Noah's. So we had the bad graph drawn there. Now you can see on this graph here, the blue line for Tama is always above the purple line for Noah, because both the intercept, the y-intercept, and the gradient are higher. That won't always happen. So how much does Noah charge for a 5-hour marathon guitar lesson? Well, we already did that one over here. Okay, so we're substituting into the point. We've got, whoop, where's it gone? P is equal to 25 plus 22t. So substituting in 5 gave me 25 plus 22 times 5, which gave us 110, 135. So that's what he gets for a 5-hour lesson. Okay, and how long would Tama have to teach for him to earn $135? So now I'm going to take this equation and I'm going to solve it for 135. Let's see what we get. We know that Tama won't have to work as hard. So 135 is equal to 30 plus his hourly rate of 28t. 105 is equal to 28 times t. Subtracting that there. Now what does that what do I end up with for that? Let's see. Well, that works out to be t is equal to 105 over 28, which actually simplifies all the way down to 3.75. So he has to work, assuming he works by the minute, for 3 hours and 45 minutes. Right, so you can see Tama's making a lot more money. Okay, now if David has a 3-hour guitar lesson, estimate from the graph what the difference in cost will be. Right, so David is the student, he's not Tama or Noah. So he has a 3-hour lesson. Right, let's have a look. So this is what Noah's going to charge, and this is what Tama's going to charge. So it looks like Tama's at about, I'm going to say, a little bit over halfway. So I'll say 112 there. And what does it look like from the graph that Noah's at? Well, it looks like he's at about 90. Oh, why is that doing that? So it looks like that gap there is about $22. Okay, so I'm going to say 112 minus 90 is roughly $22. But let's use the equations to work out exactly what the difference is. Okay, so Noah is going to be 25 plus 22 times 3, which is, how close did I get? Let's see, 66. Oh, not bad, $91. What did I estimate? I estimated 90. Yep, I think that's right, 66 and 25. And Tama will be $30 plus 28 times 3. I'm trying to do this in my head as I go, so that's 30 plus 84 I know one of you is going to tell me if I get this wrong, so that's 114. So the difference is 114 minus 91, which is 14 and 9, $23. So how did we go with our estimation? Oh, pretty good actually. So we estimated 22, but the actual difference is 23. Okay, last question before I go and do something else that's not maths for a few hours. Noah is really sick of earning less than Tama, but he doesn't think he can up his hourly rate. He wants to increase his travel fee. Okay, so that's the y-intercept, so that when he and Tama both teach for 10 hours, they get the same amount of money. So what does Tama get for 10 hours? Well, we've already done that calculation, but we'll do it again. So he gets 30 plus 28 times 10 is $310. So what Noah has to do is he has to change that into, so he's going to leave his hourly rate the same, right? The hourly rate is going to stay at 22t, but we're going to change this number to something else. And we know that they have to be equal at 10 hours. So we're going to have 310 is equal to 22 times 10 plus k. 310 is equal to 220 plus k. K has got to equal a whopping $90, right? So he would have to put his travel fee up to $90 so that they get the same amount. And the way we could see that on the graph is that we can take Noah's line and we can shift it up to starting here but having the same gradient as before. So look what's going to happen graphically. We want them to meet at about 10. Let's see if we can do this right. So hopefully you get the idea just from watching that on the screen. If we draw it in, let's see if this works. You can see that now Noah's new line and Tama's line are going to cross over somewhere out here. So there you go. Hopefully that helps. That's all I've got time for today. So go and do all of the relational questions. Whoops, where are we? Wrong video. Okay. And just make sure that you can go between the graph and the words and the equation. Leave me any comments. If you find any mistakes, there probably are some. Just let me know politely in the comments.